Let's begin this half hour with a ranch for troubled youth that finds itself now in the spotlight and under investigation. In a moment, we'll talk exclusively to the owner of that ranch. But first, here's NBC's Kristen Dahlgren.
For between $80 and $150 a day, dozens of families sent their children to Tierra Blanca Ranch.
If you choose the Tierra Blanca, we'll work with you.
Run since 1994 by Scott Chandler.
This guy made it seem like there was hope there, and my son was going to do great there.
Barbara Haller says what her son got at Tierra Blanca was abuse.
They had to run miles and run for hours, and there was no counseling at all. None.
Ryan Morgan was too emotional to talk about his alleged beating at the ranch, so his friend did.
Knuckling him right in the forehead just repetitively over and over again.
But other teens paint a much different picture.
In my 6.5 years of being there, I've never seen anything like that.
Chandler himself denied the allegations on October 10th.
It's all being very exaggerated and blown out of proportion.
But one day after that interview, investigators went to the ranch with a search warrant and the intent to shut Tierra Blanca down. Chandler and 9 teens were gone. 2 days later, the teens were found safe with their parents, and no charges are pending. But the investigation into alleged abuse continues.
The search warrant revealed evidence that I cannot tell you precisely what it was, but did corroborate some of the allegations of some of those boys.
Leaving the court to now decide who is telling the truth and whether Tierra Blanca should be shut down for good. For today, Kristen Dahlgren, NBC News, New York.
Scott and Colette Chandler, the owners of Tierra Blanca Ranch, are with us exclusively. Mr. and Mrs. Chandler, it's nice to see you. Good morning.
Thank you, Matt.
I just want to say right off the bat, we reached out to the state police. We reached out to the Department for Child Protective Services. Neither would comment to us because of an ongoing investigation. So we've got a bit of a they said situation here. So let's start with that Amber Alert. First of all, when these authorities came to the ranch looking to see what was going on there, you and 9 children weren't there. Where were you?
They were at a pre-scheduled camp trip, by the state's own designation of us back in 2006. We were designated as a wilderness program, so typically wilderness programs do a lot of time out in the woods. They had been out since the Monday before.
In any way were you attempting, you say pre-scheduled, any way were you attempting to flee from authorities as they arrived at the ranch on that day?
We did not have any effort to do that. We were working, just as we do, carrying on as we normally do. We spent a lot of time out in the wilderness doing activities. We had a court date the day before where we had scheduled, and under Judge Case, and if they would have shown up, they actually said they didn't have anybody able to come, and maybe we could have resolved this before it escalated.
Let's talk about specifics. Child and Youth Services informed the judge hearing the case that they had significant evidence of medical and educational neglect, systematic emotional and psychological abuse, potential criminal child abuse, and shackling, handcuffing, and hooding of children. Can you guys look me in the eye and say none of that occurs at your ranch?
Well, we're under an order from Judge Case, so we can't talk about specifics, but
theoretically, philosophically, are you in favor of any of those kinds of behavior to discipline or deal with the kinds of children you're treating at your ranch?
And that's I guess the crux of the big issue here is people don't understand that, the type of kids that we end up dealing with and the families that have to put children with this. These youths have been through many, many programs, and they're been in various stages, but when we get them, they've been through these things.
Yeah, these aren't kids from the local choir. Yeah. These are very rough kids. You call this a last chance in many ways. But let me go back to the question, Mr. Chandler. Beatings, restraint, could that possibly be a part of your program at this ranch?
When we go into a detention center to pick up a child who's been court-ordered that we stood before a judge or something to have him placed in our program, yes, we might have to put them in restraints. And it's typical of the type of level of kids, but it is not that is not the people are making that what we are. That is actually very minimal of what we do.
Do parents understand that might be part of the program when they turn over guardianship of their children to you?
Well, if your child is possibly incarcerated already, they, typically, and they sign agreements, they know. We have CYFD signed agreements knowing that we do such things.
Your success rate is impressive. By the way, we've spoken to 6 children who were part of your ranch, who went through your ranch, and all of them said to us this was probably the right thing for them, that it actually helped them. Is this a little bit like a sausage factory? People like the end product, but they don't want to know what it takes to create it?
Well, I guess that's kind of a strange way to put it, but we look at it as, we care about kids. We want the kids to be safe. We want them to be successful. When you have kids getting 28s, 29s, and 30s on the ACT, and it's like I challenge CYFD to produce any of their facilities that get, those kind of results out of their students. They want to talk education, but, our kids get full scholarships. We had a kid graduate last May with 28 college credits.
In the 10 seconds I have left, does this investigation force you to change in any way your approach to dealing with these young people?
Well, right now, we're moving forward. We're still carrying on with the 18-year-olds who are there voluntarily, doing school and, doing, work as we do it and, moving forward. And, we're looking at, our other options and, we're staying positive and we're carrying forward.
Scott and Colette Chandler, Mr. and Mrs. Chandler, thanks for being with us this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt.